fine. Yeah, I
Do you
think
want
maybe we
to?
were.
Do you want to just do it? It's probably blocked because we both tried at the same time.
I see it streaming now.
All right, hang
Open
on.
it. So.
Yeah, I'll do it. It's thinking. All right, I see it on YouTube.
All right.
Okay, I see it on my YouTube. Is we live? Are we good? Hold on. Okay, I see us.
Yeah, another second. Let me see here.
All right, I see us. Okay, that's pretty good.
Good. You got sound over
Okay,
there?
I can hear us now. Yep, I can see. I can hear
Okay.
myself now. This is awesome, and the stream's looking good. And that's pretty good because my mouse is starting to really bug out for whatever reason. But you know what? Oh, god damn it! My mouse is so bugging so much. It's making me minimize my tab on accident. But you know what? I think we are 3 minutes past. I think we should consider getting started. Okay, Vinny told me that he might not make it, so I might push him on to next week if need be. Okay, so don't worry. We have a part 2 next. I'll just send Vinny this text and then we should get started. All right, you know what? I think I'm going to try to get started. With that being said, I'm going to get started in 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's going on, everyone? James Nine Numbers here, and welcome to a special live stream of the Political Freedom Fighters podcast. And yeah, this one is actually pretty special to me because this one is basically involves an issue that I really, really do care about. Welcome to the 2026 North Carolina Rage Against the War Machine live stream, which is really more of a panel. And yeah, the reason why I wanted to do this is because I want to do this in honor of the Rage Against the War Machine rally back in 2023, because of the fact that because people across the spectrum were uniting against the two-party system, against the war machine, which was mainly consisted of third parties. But yeah, and another reason why I'm doing this is because last year the Rage Against the War Machine did not hold a rally, and I was pissed because I was basically frustrated with what was going on last year, and I'm still frustrated with now. And yeah, before I hand it over to Maud, I guess I'll give you a little bit of history of what made me anti-war. Well, the thing is, prior to me being anti-war, I used to be more of a moderate on foreign policy, like most issues. I used to see foreign policy as, whatever. It really wasn't until I took the I side with test when it was when I started falling down the rabbit hole towards anti-war. It really started when I answered a question on NATO, and when I looked up through the questions on NATO with what I side with, I saw that the Democrats and Republicans weren't in favor of it. But you know who wasn't in favor of NATO? The Libertarian, Green, and Constitution parties. And they were pretty prominent in our state back then. And when I saw this, I was like, that's very, very odd. And then I did a little bit more research on foreign policy over the years, seeing the justifications across the spectrum. And when I saw the Rage Against the War Machine rally back in like 2023, that was when I realized, oh my God, this war machine's terrible. I couldn't stand to see what I was hearing. I was very upset with what I saw and with what I heard. And when I saw that rally take place, I was like, nah, I can never be pro-war again. And so that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, and that's part of the reason why I'm anti-war today. Even though not all third parties are like anti-war, I still haven't like looked back on it since. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this today, because I cannot stand to see like what's going on right now. Whatever happened with the Joe Biden administration with all of his pro-war stuff. I am seeing a lot of the same repeats of what Trump is doing right now. And I am very upset with what Trump is doing right now in regards to merging the United States and Israel's military together. The lies about how peaceful how he ended the wars, even though he started like some of the wars. And I know I'm starting to feel like I'm rambling, but I am just so frustrated with with what's going on. And with that being said, I really don't have much else to say except, Maud, I want to hand this over to you.
Thanks, James. I think people may think this is bad timing for our little panel conversation, given that apparently we now have peace in the world. But bear in mind the budget for our War Department is $1 trillion. So odds are there's a lot more wars on the horizon. But anyway, so we got a good panel today. I'm going to be moderating it. The format's going to be, I'm going to let each person do a quick introduction, a couple minutes. Then I'm going to just bounce off some topics about the war and just have people talk about those topics. Can talk to each other, at each other, whatever. And then once we've sort of, it's died out, we'll go to the next topic. I'll start out really quick about myself, and then we'll just go around with the panel. Just a real quick introduction, everybody, just a couple minutes. So again, my name is Maud Abu Ghazala. I was actually born in Palestine and grew up in Saudi Arabia. So I've kind of seen the other end of the U.S. Entanglement and these never-ending wars. I've been on the receiving end of that for my early part of my life. I came to the U.S. in 1979 and have been here since then, mostly in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I ran for Congress in 2002. So I was that was my main policy issue. My plank was I was against the war in Iraq at that time. We haven't even gone into war in Iraq, but I already knew where it was headed. So I decided to run to prevent us from going into Iraq. Then we got into the war in Iraq. And so I had to run again in 2004 to get us out of Iraq. And that lasted another 20 years or so. So that wasn't that successful. And then I'm back at it now. I'm running again for Congress in North Carolina, 7th District. This time, instead of trying to stay out of the war in Iraq, now we got this war in Iran we have to deal with. So that's my background. Let's go around. Everybody just introduce yourself. Let's start with James. Do you want to start off?
Sure. My name is James Bledsoe. I am the state chairman of the Veterans Party of North Carolina. You don't need to be a veteran to join that, just created by vets for everybody. I run for Raleigh City Council several times. First run was, I think, 2017, perhaps 2015, but never made it through. Changed my platform a little bit more each time, and that was my last, and it was my last run this year in March. So I'm just glad to be here.
All right.
You got some. Live
yeah, that's me. I'll turn that off. Okay, Brian, can you go ahead?
Hi, yeah, my name is Brian McGinnis. I'm running for North Carolina District 2. I've changed my run from Senate race with the Green Party to now this congressional district race for two reasons. One, to let my friend Michael Dublin, who's still in the Green Party, run for Senate. It was his dream to let everybody in North Carolina have an opportunity to vote for a Green Party member. And I broke away from the Green Party because they were wanting me to not associate with certain people. And I thought that was restricting me in ways that I was wanting to explore. And so I broke away from them. And now I'm in the midst of getting my signatures and my treasury all reestablished for a different race, but still excited to be in this political realm and to attempt to and learn so much. And so again, I'm excited here to be here with you guys here today and have these conversations.
Yeah, welcome, Brian. Larry, do you want to go?
I believe Larry is just doing some tech work.
Okay. All right, Travis.
Well, I guess I will go. My name is Travis Grew, and I've been, I would say, politically active since about 2015. I started actually paying attention before I was kind of tuned out. I considered myself a Republican for the longest time because I had never even heard of the Libertarian Party before it was the Clinton and Trump race where, I was just utterly embarrassed of the back and forth bickering. It sounded like third graders arguing with each other. And I was just truly just taken back and embarrassed by it. I was like, is this the best we can do in America? And that's kind of where I started to dig deeper and I discovered Rand Paul first before I discovered Ron Paul, which just led me down a rabbit trail to find the Libertarian Party, and then read the platform and the fact that they are very anti-war and have been since the foundation of the party in 1971. It's been truly a consistent anti-war message from the very, very, very beginning, and it hasn't changed at all. And so I definitely love that. So I've run for office a couple times. I've run for U.S. I'm running for U.S. House 11 now. I've run for State House, State Senate, and also Holly Springs Town Council. So I have run several times, and throughout the process, honestly, I made a lot of good friends. I'm not one to argue with somebody because of the letter beside their party. I mean, we can disagree respectfully, but at the end of every one of my races, I end up having more friendships and more alliances and more people to talk to if needed. And so I've never run attack and negative campaigns. I think that's terrible. And I'm also the president of Better Ballot North Carolina, and we advocate for ranked choice voting. And I believe we truly need that in North Carolina, at least the option to have ranked choice voting in municipal races and smaller races, local races. I believe it gives voters more choice and more power. It puts the power back in the voters' hands to vote for their candidate of preference, regardless of their party. And it just opens up the playing field for third parties to actually have a chance to compete. And so I think it's wonderful. And you have to win by a true majority. You have to get over 50% of the vote rather than winning at 32% of the vote, which somehow people are happy with for some reason. That a minority can make decisions for the majority. So anyway, my name is Travis Grew. I'm glad to be here with you fine people, and let's begin.
All right. So I guess the main topic we're going to discuss is the role of the government, the U.S. government, in foreign policy and foreign affairs, and how entangled should we be with all these conflicts overseas. So the first, I think, where I'd like to start, and maybe Brian, we can start with you, is on the moral level. On a moral level, what is your sense of morality as to when the U.S. should get involved in a war? And just as an example, the Libertarian Party has the non-aggression principle. So, you can say, well, we should never be involved in aggressive war. And then, there's the Christian view of a just war. So, Brian, from your perspective, what morally is it? When is it morally appropriate for the U.S. government to wage war?
Oh, that's a great question. I think it's case by case basis. This world is so complex, and every dynamic needs to be judged individually. For example, this war with Israel and Palestine, Israel and Lebanon, Israel, America, Iran. I think it's safe to say that Israel and America are the aggressors, and they have been carrying out this war of aggression unprovoked. And in a situation like this, I think there has to be resistance. Otherwise, I would have seen just the Iranians and Lebanese and the Palestinians just be steamrolled, and the Israelis in America would have just carried out with their plans of Trump Riviera and continued oil acquisitions. And so it seems to me that opposition and violent resistance has played a positive for the people against America and Israel. Therefore, as complicated as serious as it is, and how much I wish it wasn't necessary, I think I've learned through this last 2.5 to 3 years that resistance is necessary. And so,
Okay,
I'm sorry,
but,
the morality question, when Israel and America are just unprovokedly destroying infrastructure, people's livelihoods, and people themselves, I think that is reason to get it militarily involved. And for America to be getting involved in the way they have been is wrong, and it's been evil and very diabolical, and for the profiteering of a few. And I think American people have to wake up to that and call that out for being wrong.
I mean, in all honesty, this is almost the straw man, because getting involved with the Israeli war is such a bad idea. So I need to make it a little bit harder of a question and say, is there ever a time where you would think the U.S. should go to war? Or what morally would lead the U.S. to say, okay, in this situation, we should go to war? Because obviously, I think all of us here believe that the war is not a just war. So I'm just going to make it a little bit more difficult. What would be a just cause?
When some unfair, unequipped country is being targeted by a largely a powerful country, I would think in defense of that could be a time when to bring defense to the lesser strong nation.
So basically the opposite of what we're doing. We're on the exactly wrong side on this war.
Yes.
Okay, James or Travis, you guys want to pitch in?
Sure, I'll jump in on this one. So just a little preface, I did spend almost 20 years in the Army. I did deploy in 2007 to Afghanistan, and then in 2019 to Kuwait and Iraq, originally meant to go to Syria to help with that. So I'll agree with Brian on that this is the case-by-case basis, but after that, I'll completely disagree. So given my history with the U.S. Army, I have a little bit more understanding of Iran's tentacles and all this. So I would say that this is not just a just war, but this should have been done a long time ago. In 2007, I mean, actually before that, after we invaded Iraq and toppled the government, everyone started flocking into Iraq. Partisan fighters from all over that answered the jihad, but mainly Iran. Iran started coming into Iraq, and the one thing that most people don't know, or if they've just simply forgotten, is that Lebanon, Iraq, we'll get to Lebanon in a second, but Iraq, a lot of the escalation, the greater numbers of death came from the anti-coalition forces and your partisan fighters that were coming in from out of country. And Iran had a large part to play with that. Soleimani did start coming in and start helping train, local fighters, foreign fighters on how to build IEDs, how to make worse IEDs, and it kept escalating and escalating and escalating. I don't know if I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's all building up to this. Lebanon, Hezbollah has them by the clutches, and that is an Iranian terror proxy. Always has been. In 2007, when I deployed,
James, do you mind, James?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to keep this flowing. So we're going to get into a lot of these different subjects. Mm-hmm. The first topic, I don't want it to everybody just have just a broad range of conversation. Let's stick to the topic, which was the moral issues. So let's start with Iran. You're saying that was morally justified.
Yep.
So give me the justification for that.
Yeah. So I think this should have happened a long time ago before I went into that tangent, because Iran has terror proxies all over. This has been an escalating issue. They have launched attacks.
Well, no, let's break that down. Let's break that down. So Iran has terror proxies all over.
Yeah.
From the U.S.'s perspective, did Iran ever attack the U.S.?
Yes.
Because, okay, let me rephrase that. We're talking about the moral issue. So I guess what you're alluding to is that it's some form of self-defense. It's
No.
morally justified because on a self-defense basis.
No, not a self-defense basis, as
Okay.
a justification to a response to an aggression. So,
Well, that's
Khobar
self-defense.
Towers- No,
Or you're defending somebody else.
no, it's not self-defense. So, it is being attacked is not always just self-defense. I don't see it that way. I see it as just, hey, I was attacked. I'm attacking back. It's not.
So who
not
did Iran
defending
attack?
myself. I'm going
Did-
on the defense.
I don't mean to
implies
interrupt,
that I'm-
James. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting, but I'm just trying to clarify. I'm not arguing with you.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not either. That's just the tone of my voice, unfortunately.
Okay, great. So you said who was attacked? Because you're saying
So-
it's a response to an attack. Was the
Right.
U.S. attacked?
We were originally attacked in Iran during the Iranian embassy takeover, and then after that, there was
Okay, so
Khobar
the
Towers.
U.S. was never attacked directly. We were attacked when we were overseas in Iran.
Right.
So
but
we were
also-
never that's why you're saying it's not defense, because they never attacked us.
Well, I'm saying that they never attacked our homeland. However, they have attacked our forces and our people overseas, even when we were not in conflict with them. I mean, Khobar Towers, that is a great one right there. That it was from a proxy, and
Okay,
that was linked
so
back.
clarify. Yeah, I'm sorry. Clarify what you're saying. So that your moral justification is you're allowed to respond to an attack on your allies or your assets overseas. Is that
Sure.
the point?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to come back to Travis? Do you want to say something?
Sure. And I appreciate everybody's response on this. Being a supporter of the non-aggression principle, I believe the only justification for war would be self-defense. If someone comes on my property and steals something or attacks me, or my family feels threatened, or I feel threatened, I have every right to defend my property and my land. I'm originally from Texas. I truly believe in property rights. And so I truly believe that America should defend its borders, even though, in a utopian society, we wouldn't have borders, but we do. We have borders, and I believe that we should defend and protect our borders according to the Constitution, right? But that doesn't mean defending and protecting the borders of all of these other countries that we're involved with. I'm a bit of a non-interventionalist, and if I was president of the United States of America, I would bring all of our troops home and do exactly that. I would defend and protect our borders better than any other country in the entire world, because it's your homeland, it's your property, it's your home base, it's your house, right? And so if somebody or another country were to shoot a missile at your property, there's going to be 100 coming back at you. I'm sorry, you attacked me, you attacked my family. I don't support war, but I support self-defense. And when your self-defense is stronger than the attack, than the aggression, you better not do that again, okay? But America has been meddling for far too long in this world peace and this world police type mentality, where we want to make every country in the world a democratic country when they don't want to be a democratic country. Maybe they actually want to stay the way they are. And we're trying to get involved with regime changes and all this stuff. And as bad as it sucks in some countries, and as bad as these governments are tyrannical, I hate to say it, it's still none of our business. Not until they throw a rock at my property, at my car, at my family. Once that happens, that's going to be the last time that ever happens, ever. Okay. And so then it comes to the point where we have allies, right? We have aligning ideologies with certain countries. Now, if you're friends with your neighbor and someone attacks their house, are you just gonna be like, I'm sorry, I'm busy, good luck? No, you kind of, if you're actually going to build allies, which is what we've done, you want to defend your friends. And so I think part of our problem is we've been entangled with a lot of alliances, and now we feel the obligation to help our friends because we have this alliance with them, which is what's wrong with NATO. NATO is a big problem because you can't possibly protect all these countries, especially when America's fronting the bill for NATO at a very large percentage. People are just relying on us and our tax money and our wealth in our country to protect them. And I'm sorry, but it's not really what the Constitution of America says. It's not really what the Constitution of the United States says, is to defend and protect everybody else's borders. And so this is where it's a slippery slope for me. I think we need to get back to constitutional defending our country. So that's where I'll just start it. I'm a big fan of the Constitution. I am, but I also know what it says. So meddling in all these other countries is not really our business.
Okay, thanks, Travis. So we got three different views here. As far as the morality of it, Brian's view is war is something proactive to defend countries or people that are unable to defend themselves. James believes that you can go to, or should go to war to defend your property overseas, or interests, I shouldn't say property, or interests overseas. And Travis believes is a non-interventionist overseas, and believes that war is necessary only in the case of self-defense, not in defending interests that have been projected 10,000 miles away. I think I've got it all. So we've got a new panelist. Joshua is on board. Hey, Josh.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, Josh?
We just got started. We're on our first. Yeah, we just got started. We're on our first topic, which is the moral justification for war. I don't know if you just got that review. Do you mind just giving us a quick intro of yourself, maybe 2 or 3 minutes?
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm late, y'all. It took me a little while to get my computer set up. Hi, I'm Josh Bradley, Socialist Party of North Carolina that's forming. I'm a part of the Triangle Local, but by the end of the year, we should actually have a state party. And I'm a candidate for city council. It's not my first time running. I've had the pleasure of running with James, or against James. I was invited to give the perspective of the Socialist Party and I guess similar organizations. 52 years old, married, have a kid, but he's 30, so it's not like a child. And other than that, I'm just here to listen and see what questions I can answer. Thank you.
Well, no, we actually, yeah, we need your input. So we've got 3 different views on moral justification, or when it's justified morally to go to war. When do you think you should and shouldn't? What morally would be the basis for you to go to war? What would cause you to want to go to war, if anything?
I don't think there is a moral justification for war.
Well, for example, Travis said self-defense. Would you accept that?
If the United States proper was being invaded by somebody worse than we were, then self-defense is possible.
That's interesting. You said worse than we were. So that's
Oh
pretty.
yeah, no, I mean, we are an
pushing the
imperialist
envelope.
power. Yeah. We are an imperialist power. I mean, we've propped up dictators. We've spread freedom by putting up dictators all over the world. So
no,
I mean, we
this
are.
is a really good spectrum. I thought we would all just like breeze by the first question, and we have four different people, four different views on when to go to war. I don't know if you caught the review of everybody's opinion, but that's the least interventionist, Josh, is your view that even if we're attacked by somebody who, in your view, is liberating us, you wouldn't obviously want to go to war. Whereas I think, Travis, you would say, in any circumstance, anybody attacks our government, regardless of how just or unjust it is, we should defend ourselves. Travis, just
No,
a
that's
couple of
not
words.
what I said. I didn't
Okay, go
say
ahead.
government. I said
Okay.
property. Governments can be extremely tyrannical, and I do believe overthrowing governments if necessary. But when you attack my property or my land, you will only try that once, and you will not come back on my property. And but that's not to say that you're supposed to defend your neighbor's property too. You should defend and protect your property. You come into my house and attack me, anybody, that's it. That's my stance. And that's basically what the Constitution states, to defend and protect our borders. Well, we're protecting like 70 other countries' borders, which I don't believe that we should be doing. If we're the United States, that's what we protect. Constitutionally speaking, that is the area we protect. Nothing else, nothing more, anywhere. Not Ukraine, not Russia, not Germany, not Israel, not Norway, not Sweden, nowhere. This is our country, and that is it. That's my stance.
So you're not against interacting with or having friends as individuals with other countries or organizations in the U.S.
I think we should
You
be
just don't
friends
want the
with
government
everybody.
to make
I like
alliances.
Joshua's perspective. I don't like war. I hate war. There's nothing really good that ever comes out of it. A lot of death and destruction. But if you have somebody trying to steal your property or take over your property, you have every right, God-given right, for self-defense. Every single right. And I believe in property rights. I'm a property rights guy. I'm a capitalist. I mean, that might surprise all of you that I'm a free market capitalist. And sometimes free market capitalism is messy, but that's okay. And I don't believe you spread freedom across the world by putting dictators in power. That's like the opposite of freedom. Dictators don't promote freedom anywhere, ever. It's never happened on the history of the planet. A dictator has never ever promoted freedom. So,
well, a dictator could be a perspective thing. You know, somebody could be happy they have a leader and they could be perceived positively by the people, and then America could perceive that person as a dictator or present them as a dictator as an excuse to then do the meddling and, you know, dethrone that person because that could economically benefit them. So it's all a matter of perspective. I think what we're seeing now is just how it's a global market, and America makes it's can extend itself enough in an economic attempt to create more economic gain or acquire resources, or it's a huge game between the superpowers. And they talk about how it's a multipolar, globe now. It used to be a unipolar where America was the lone powerhouse, and that's kind of fading. We're turning into a multipolar where we're gonna have to lean on diplomacy. And I agree with you guys, or I agree with people who are saying war is never really justified. I think we do also could go into how defining what war is, and in the recent 60 years of war, or Vietnam forward, it just seems like it's just got ties to the military industrial complex, and it's more of an economic thing rather than a moral thing.
You're absolutely right. War is nation building. Okay. You nation build by taking people's land, right? You steal people's land, and that's what war is all about. And I'm actually in my utopian world, we wouldn't have borders, we wouldn't have individual governments, we would share the land. And believe it or not, I understand the whole socialist point of view in that perspective. But you can't have big, strong governments and have socialism at the same time, because then you're nation building. It's an oxymoron. You can't have socialism and strong governments. Can't happen, because you're going to have war, because somebody's going to want to steal somebody's land. A perfect socialist utopian, you don't have borders, you don't have governments, you share the land, you have allies, and you have areas that you decide who's going to kind of lead what group, because governments are always going to initiate war against someone else to land grab and to nation build. It's always going to happen. And that's not socialism, that's war. So I think government is actually war. You have strong governments because you want to acquire their money, their land, and their assets, and you want to have the superpower.
May I ask you a question? You were describing a utopian world where the borders wouldn't be necessary. What if, could there be an environment where all the territories and the borders that have been created just are put in place, and people respect those borders, and everyone respect those borders and not have to do nation building through war? Is that possible, and what would that look like? Everybody just does.
It's only possible. It's only possible if you believe in the non-aggression principle, where you don't throw the first punch, and you don't steal people's stuff, you don't take something that's not yours, and if you break something that's someone else's, you replace it.
And so
like
most
your grandma taught you when you were a kid.
Right, yeah. And I guess the territories are just too obscured between Israel and Palestine over the last 78 years, or a little bit longer, or much longer. And then the Ukrainian-Russian wars, like, were those nation building? Were those like?
Yeah, they're totally nation building. I mean, before the USSR fell, Russia wants to get back to where the USSR was, so they want to take their land from Ukraine. That's what the war is all about. They want to expand the Russian territory.
Or has this been some type of manipulation with Israel and America trying to proliferate their land in the Greater Israel Project, and the Ukraine somehow being connected to that as a distractionary way to hide funds and just to keep the military juices flowing for America? And the CIA has been involved with Ukraine. I mean, it seems.
Oh yeah, it's nation building 101, and it's the military industrial complex at its finest. But at the end of the day, Vladimir Putin wants to expand the territory and get back to the USSR, and Ukraine is saying no. It's just like China is talking about taking over Taiwan and all this kind of stuff. It's all land grabbing. It's all power grabbing. It's all money hungry dictators all across the globe that are wanting to be more powerful than the other person. It's all about money and power. And that is the the head of each government, trying to flex their muscles. And unfortunately, every time they flex their muscles, guess who hurts? Guess who suffers? We do. We do. We little people down here that they're stealing our money, funding all these wars, sending all these people all over, especially in America. We have bases all over the place. And they're saying, oh, they want us there, blah, 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 blah. Of course they want us there because they want our money. It's going over there in trillions. So, I mean, you can't possibly stay the superpower when you're $40 trillion in debt. Eventually, you run out of money.
Yeah, Travis, we're going to get into the money aspect later on when we talk about the NDAA. So let's just table that. We'll get back to the money aspect because it's a critical issue. Maybe we want to be an empire, but we can't afford it, or we can at least discuss that. Not that I want to be an empire, but I don't think we can afford it anyway.
I think Josh had something real quick.
Yeah.
Probably a rebuttal.
Go ahead.
It wasn't necessarily a rebuttal, right? Like, I don't have a problem with government as long as it's helping the people. Like, as long as it really genuinely is concerned about people and not about the wealthy. Regardless of what that looks like. I think that if you look on the left, from left anarchists to the most communist people, the goal is the withering away of the state because it's unnecessary, because we take care of each other. Another thing one thing that I did want to kind of rebut had to do with, I don't think Putin wants to restart the USSR. I mean, when he launched his invasion of Ukraine, he made a very, very long anti-communist rant. So, like, he might want the territorial boundaries, maybe. I mean, but at the same time, we're painting him into a corner, right? Like, when Germany unified, one of the conditions was NATO wouldn't be expanded, and the first thing we did was expand NATO. Now, I'm not taking any sides in that conflict, because the people that are suffering are the working class of both sides, and so I think the proper U.S. response to that should have been like negotiations to open with, rather than just funding a war, a proxy war overseas against an empire, or against an opponent that is really kind of very, very diminished from where they were 30 years ago. But that's all I wanted to say, and thank you. I'm interested to hear James.
Yeah. So yeah, I was going to actually say that because I wanted to address a question to James on this subject.
Sure.
But before I get to that, just an interjection. I was born in Palestine, so I have a lot of people I talk to back there saying, what should our position be? What should America's position be vis-a-vis Israel? Whose side should we be on? What should be the peace proposal we should be offering? Right. And this is more me thinking we have to solve the world's problems. And their response is, stay out of it. This is not your fight. If the U.S. stayed out of that war, that conflict that's been going on for 80 years, it would have resolved itself by now. But we have our thumb on the scale, preventing a solution that they could agree to together. That's just what the Palestinians were telling me, is like, don't come up with this peace solution. That's not your job. Your job is just don't interfere with it. Interfere with people resolving their own issues. All right, now, James, I'd like to hear your point, because it seems like we do have a consensus, except for you, which I'm sure you don't mind. Nobody seems to believe that we should be fighting to protect our interests overseas. Which some may consider imperialist. Travis was saying we shouldn't be allies with these people in the first place. We should trade with them, but we shouldn't have some sort of defense agreement with them. So, James, can you respond to that in this and sort of justify why you believe the U.S. should be protecting militarily foreign interests?
Well, it's not just foreign interests; it's where our interests lie in foreign lands. And I'll clarify that a little bit more. When I say when people say foreign interests, I mean, I always take that as the interest of foreign nations and where we fit in that. And however, when I say protecting our interests overseas, there are stuff we are interested in, but that goes into a lot of what Brian was saying with entanglements, and I agree with that. I don't believe, and also Travis, with your statement on foreign entanglements as well. I'm going to get off on several tangents here, so I'm going to go back to your question on what, when I feel it's justified to use war or to engage in conflict or war. Sometimes you're going to see a credible threat that exists. Sometimes you can map it out. And the best thing you can do to prevent a catastrophe is sometimes intervene. Say for example, you had a credible threat. We'll just say, it's from whichever country X. We can see that if variable A happens, then variable B happens, and then variable C is, the catastrophe. When do you intervene? A, B, or after, or when C has occurred? I'm in the camp of I want to stop variable C from happening as early as possible. Or
right, but how is that? I don't want to run too long on this because we do have other questions. How is that not pre-crime? How are we not attacking Iran? Not because they have nuclear bombs, or even if they did have nuclear bombs, they haven't used them. And that was actually the next topic: is are we in this pre-crime mode, which is we consider ourselves so powerful that we don't even want people to think about doing anything, much less actually doing anything, and especially given that Iran was under a treaty not to develop nuclear weapons. They had already agreed they didn't want to develop nuclear weapons. So now you're saying we should have attacked Iran because you're saying you believe in this war, because they might at some point get nuclear weapons, and even if they got them, they might actually use them. So that's pre-crime on two levels.
I wouldn't say it's pre-crime. It's when you know that someone's going to attack you. And going back to Travis's point of if
how do you know that? How do you know they're going to attack us?
I'm getting there. So with Travis's point, if someone comes onto his property and he shushes them off or gets them off, and they come back again and they keep coming back again, he keeps pushing them away, and then eventually it's going to get to a culmination point. But with Iran, we know that they would use those weapons because they've said openly that they would. Their ex-posts, their foreign tentacles had said as much, that if Iran becomes a power, even Saudi Arabia said we must cut off the head of the snake before they get nuclear weapons. They will use them.
Which they were going to have in the 2 weeks 20 years ago.
No, they keep saying that because that's the intelligence agency for you. The military industrial complex thought that Russia was our greatest threat, so we kept advancing. Everything that we heard about Iran was, oh, hey, they're going to get nuclear weapons. At least at this point, it was, hey, we've been attacked several times. They keep attacking all of our interests overseas and Americans overseas and getting involved with the worst people on planet Earth. We know exactly where they're going to go. If they get a club, they're going to use the club because they've been using.
All right, but James, we're really running late on time. I do want to give you time to respond, but it's really hard for me to listen to this because we toppled the Iranian government, the democratically elected government, in 1956, I think, when we installed our dictator. So you're saying, well, they threatened us. They threatened us after we overthrew their government. So I don't see that that's a moral justification. The fact that they, I'm sorry.
We didn't just overthrow their government. There was the government that was in place after that, and then there was an Islamic counterculture to Iran saying, "Hey, it was the young people."
We installed the government after that.
We installed the government.
We installed the government. The Shah was somebody we installed.
Between the religious groups and the revolting groups in Iran, and then the religious group overtook it after they took out the American place governments, and then they did become a more conservative government from that point on. But that was in response to America's coup.
In a way, I mean, we can disagree about that all night.
There's nothing to disagree about. That's a fact.
And you talking about how if somebody's threatening like Iran, you have to do something about it. Or if you come onto my property, has not America been going in the Middle East over the last 25 years onto their property? And why don't they have the right to defend themselves or resist us or fight back against us?
Because we haven't been going onto Iran's property. Iran has sent their tentacles and their fighters to where we are to meet us.
Well, then Israel would be an American tentacle, and then Israel is going into everyone surrounding them. And they have been for decades.
So it depends. I mean, there's more to it than that, but.
Well, I look at it like mind your own business. Okay. If we were just mind our own business and people would just mind their own business, the world will be a better place. It's pretty simple, but unfortunately, people have hunger for power and money and expansion of the world. I mean, we've been trying to eradicate the world of terrorism for how long now? It's not going to ever happen.
5 years.
You're always going to have wackos trying to hurt people. Always. You have a wacko do something, you address the wacko. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I would like to respond, but I want James to finish what he was saying first. I'd like to give him the respect.
Yeah. Totally. I just
to finish.
I didn't mean to cut anybody off.
Oh, you're good, man. You're good, Travis. No, okay. So let's go back. Mod, what was the part that we were in question on this part, or what we were discussing right before we ended?
The moral
Maybe that. Moral justification. America's kind of been the aggressor and going onto the Middle East property, and they're the one. America's been the one that's provoking things rather than you claiming Iran's 2 weeks away or months away from nuclear war or nuclear weapons. That kind of argument.
I mean, I will go back and I'll summarize with this. I mean, Iran messed with us. They took our people hostage and then after that, there was Khobar Towers. And then after that, there was several terror tentacles and terror groups that popped up all over the place that targeted Americans. And they kept doing it over decades. And then, I mean, same thing with the Operation Mantis. That was not our fault until it wasn't our business until it became our business. And then recently, I mean, those Shahed drones that are in Russia, those didn't come from nowhere. Those came from Iran. This is part of the tentacle that is being cut off is, even in that realm. I'm not saying that that's a justification to go to war with Iran at all. Not at all. I'm just saying that it exists, that it's a variable. It's sprinkles on top of an already existing cupcake to justify somebody else for doing it. I'm just saying that it exists. But Iran is not just the defenseless nation that, we've poked. They've poked back. They've poked harder, and they've poked in ways that are really a no-go. And this was kind of the culmination of something that should have been done a while ago to stop the spread of, what was happening in the Middle East through their proxies.
Josh, you said you wanted to say something?
Yeah, briefly, I just want to make sure, James, if I want people to listen to me, I need to make sure to listen to what everybody else says. The United States has a bad habit of making really bad decisions and then causing issues, right? Because you're right.
Josh, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Has a history of making bad decisions and then living with those consequences. Iran hasn't directly attacked another country since the United States has been here. Yeah, I mean, there's proxy groups everywhere, but we have proxy groups everywhere. I mean, one of them, the Occupy Palestine, is one of those. And we need to be real careful because it has to do with long-term consequences. We shouldn't have attacked Iran. They're not going to get a nuke. The old Ayatollah issued a fatwa against developing nuclear weapons. You know, that would be like the Pope saying something like that. Like, you know, it wasn't going to happen. They need nuclear if they're going to do nuclear weapons. But the thing that you want to realize, if we want a denuclearized world, we're not doing anything to encourage it, because what happened when Libya was like, yeah, we're out, we're not going to do nuclear weapons. They got destroyed. They got destroyed by a democratic government, by the Democrats. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, you know, so both sides in this, or it's not really, it's a capitalist issue. The capitalist party, the main capitalist parties are 100% behind any kind of foreign investment they can, as long as it will make some money or reward the dictators that they're putting out to where they keep putting money in our things. I mean, it's a racket. Like Smedley Butler wrote a book called War is a Racket. I don't know if you've read it. I would definitely check it out. He was the most decorated military person in U.S. history, and he was pretty much right on. I mean, you know, we did help the Soviet Union kind of win the Second World War, which I think is a net positive, because you know, fascism is bad. You know, but when it comes down to it, we need to, like has been said, we didn't need to go into this war, and I mean, we just pretty much surrendered, which I mean, we should have. I mean, you open up a war by destroying a girls' school is probably not really the thing that you want to do. And there's justifications all over the far right, whether it's in Israel or the United States, saying, well, they'll just grow up to be enemies. And it's like, you're killing children. Like, there is absolutely.
What was the girls' school before it was a girls' school?
Well, 10 years prior to that, it was maybe some other military facility, but it was
an IRGC headquarters.
And
Okay,
that
well, I mean,
what does that justify?
Because the IDF did not update their intelligence until it was too late, because it was still listed on their books. It's like having an outdated map.
Patriot missiles have personal authentication and for targeting, and they saw that it was a girls' school. It was a girls' school, and they targeted.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would add, James, is as you know, the first attack has been studied for years, months, if not years. So the very first, maybe if you went down to your 5th and 6th level targets, you could say, well, we didn't study that. But your first targets, and that was literally the first target, is something you studied a long time. Personally, I think it was intentional. It was given the demeanor of our president. It was just his way of saying, screw you. And as you know, those were the children of the IRGC, of the heads of the Iranian military. So it's not inconceivable that he would do it. So, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, let me move on to the next question. Let's see. So we touched on. I was going to bring up the subject of nuclear proliferation, but I think we touched on it, which was basically pre-crime. And I think we're all against pre-crime, except James. We're not picking on you, but you know, you're probably in the majority in the country. You just don't happen to be the majority on this panel. That we don't believe in pre-crime, but you did put up a good response for it. But so let me give you the first shot at the next question. Should the U.S., which, as you know, was it Eisenhower or Truman said that named it the military-industrial complex? We have an entire industry building weapons. Should the U.S. be in the business of selling weapons? James, you go for it.
Yes. It's a.
Well, it's either yes or no. Do we build weapons and sell them, or do we not?
Yes. On the simplest term, yes. I mean, it's how Stalin was able to survive. Even he said, hey, if we didn't have the stuff that the U.S. sold us, we would have lost. And there's stuff that we send off. So even with Ukraine, the only reason why Ukraine is not, you know, a Russian footnote right now is because of coalition support, but mainly because of American support. The weapons that we've given them, the training that we've helped them out with, especially after 2014, my alma mater went in there and helped train the Ukrainians. But it depends on which country you're going to. Some countries need to advance. You know, they're just not going to make the stuff on their own, like Australia. They really don't make their own stuff, so they have to either buy the European Union's weapon systems. They can buy ours, or they can buy the joke of what was the Soviet Union's arsenal, which is shown to be nothing more than, aluminum cans at this point.
Anybody have input on whether the U.S. should be in the business of selling weapons? Joshua, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I would say no. No, like we shouldn't. And we shouldn't spend all the money to make this weapon. It's a money-making thing that the bourgeoisie is using to enrich themselves at our expense. We've spent more money since the beginning, enough money since the beginning of this war to provide housing, food, and education, and healthcare to everybody in this country. But instead of doing that, what we are doing is we are sending billions of dollars to Israel, to Ukraine, and elsewhere around the world, whichever fascist state we're wanting to back up. Even if they're fighting another fascist state, I mean, we're not selling our weapons to Cuba or any other, worker state. That's for sure.
Anyone else?
Hey Josh, can you improve your microphone for me? I apologize, but I think I'm struggling to hear you a bit, man.
Yep.
Can you hear me better now?
I think you maybe have to be closer to your computer or something.
Well, I've got headphones in. I can take them out. Hold on.
That
That sounds better.
It sounds better. Okay. Anyway, sorry about that. So I mean, the United States is a rule. It's a money making scheme, right? And we make money. I mean, I'm not a stand for any other country, and I'm certainly not a stand for here. I'm not a patriot. I'm not gonna lie. I like the people. Don't much care about the history of this country. It's not been very good. But at the same time, all this money that we are spending out of our, I don't want to talk about MMT, but like we're using, in theory, our tax money to sell weapons that we make some, but it doesn't come back to the people. It goes back to the people that own stock in the defense industry. Which is not a majority of people, unless you include maybe retirement accounts. But
Yeah, Josh, real quick. Josh, if I could just throw something into based on what you just said is Israel constantly says, look, the money you give us, the $3 billion a year, isn't really a gift to us because we have to buy weapons from the U.S. That's part of the agreement. And based on what you were saying is they seem to be either intentionally or unintentionally misdirecting the conversation because it's being taken out of our pockets, the workers who are making the money, and being handed over to, yes, Americans, but different Americans. It's a transfer of wealth through Israel back to the billionaire class. And somehow we're supposed to think, well, it's a wash. It's not a wash. When you take our money and give it to Israel so that they can give it to the billionaires, we lose. So I don't buy that argument.
yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, the fact that we're giving large amounts of weapons to countries that have a very atrocious human rights record, like Israel is actively participating in a genocide and a regional war. Saudi Arabia, like they're not known for human rights. I mean, so it's one of the things we are giving weapons to morally questionable countries with the money that I pay for my taxes that I don't have a choice about because I've got to pay taxes because that's what we do. But since I don't have any control of how my tax money is spent, people say, well, elections and all that. But I mean, they're drawing districts to suit themselves. I mean, we've lost any real democracy in this country since at least the late 70s. So that means that there are children being killed in large loads and carload lots overseas with the money that was taken from the wages that I make. And that's horrifying. I mean, it's hard. It makes it hard for one to sleep, right? Or at least it does to me. Maybe I'm a bleeding heart leftist, but like, any money that I make, I do not want to contribute to the large-scale slaughter of children, regardless of where they are. Over. Thank you.
Anybody else on the subject of should we be in the business of making and selling weapons?
When
Go on to the next
witnessing this,
subject. Yeah.
witnessing the genocide in 4K through social media, watching children suffer and families being destroyed and just Gaza completely being leveled, that put me in such a hysterical, sad depression. And then to realize that there's the money, the war machine is a market, and and to see the lever of war, as long as it can just be triggered, there's so much money that we made from that simple triggering of war. And to know that that's what the hawks and executives and CEOs are pushing, which as a grown man now, 45, understanding how the world works, understanding how, deals go and people, can rationalize making billions of dollars. So what? Some foreigners die. Just knowing that that's the realistic, real life situation that's really behind all this is the hardest thing for me to accept. And so I to go away from that, I think the U.S. should not be in the business for selling weapons.
Okay, I guess I'm last. That's okay.
Sorry, Brian. Go for it.
My perspective is, I think it's okay for us to make weapons to defend and protect our borders, but I'm no more in support of us selling weapons as I am the government selling alcohol in the disguise of the ABC system. They shouldn't be involved with commerce to begin with. That's not the role of the government. And maybe if we'd stop selling all these weapons, these high-powered destructive weapons, maybe war would calm down a little bit if we just stopped selling them. And, it's okay to arm yourself for some idiot that wants to be an idiot. But we shouldn't be in the business of profiting off of alcohol, guns, or tobacco. The entire system should be not for profit. And so why are we profiting off of this kind of stuff to begin with? That's really the moral question.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, Brian. I mean, because you're treating war as an addiction. And we're the pushers.
Man. It's like alcohol. We're the pushers. The ABC system should be shut down in North Carolina, and so should the military-industrial complex that's profiting off of war. It's just a much, much larger scale, and it's not America that's getting profitable. It's Boeing, and it's the companies that are making these bombs and jet engines and these $400,000 bombs, that's on the low end. So,
and Brian, what's really bad about it, what's even worse than just being a pusher, is it'd be bad enough if they sucked all of our money to build all these weapons so they could get rich. And if they offered us the deal is that, okay, just give us a bunch of money, that would actually be preferable if we just gave them the money.
Lockheed Martin is the ones that are doing well. It's not the Americans. It's not our country. We're not profiting off of war.
But it's worse. It's worse than that, Brian. It's worse than that, Brian. It's not only
Travis, by the way.
It's Travis.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
Brian's over there. I mean,
All right, Chad, but it's actually worse than just Lockheed Martin and making money. They're making money, and for some reason they also, in addition to taking our money, they've got to kill a bunch of people to justify it. So my proposal is, okay, if we're stuck giving you $1 trillion, which is what the defense budget is, just build a bunch of bombs and blow them up in the middle of a desert.
Let's put it this way: if you have a private business wanting to sell weapons to anybody, that's okay. But government doing it is different. Okay. Government doing, that's why they use Lockheed Martin and these other companies to do it, because technically you're not supposed to be profiting with government, right? But they disguise it through other ways. But if I had a company and made bombs, I should be allowed to sell those bombs. But government should not be allowed to sell those bombs for profit.
Yeah,
A private company should, government should not.
I mean, the way it
Big
works,
difference.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
way it's
private
working is
companies-
Lockheed Martin is taking my money as a Palestinian American, or whoever's building these bombs. They're forcing me to subsidize bombing Gaza.
If you're a
Palestinian
gun
American.
manufacturer, you could sell your guns to whoever you want to. But if that's a government should not own businesses, first of all.
They don't.
They should not profit. They should not even profit off of commerce. Okay? That is interfering with the free market. That's why we live in a crony capitalist world, is because government picks winners and losers based on their government contracts. That's how it works. Just like the ABC system should be completely shut down and abolished in North Carolina. And you should be able to buy weed and alcohol at Harris Teeter and liquor at the same place. You shouldn't have to go to a separate store for it, right? It's the same concept as bombs and missiles and planes and jets. So there's no difference. It's just the difference is billions and trillions of dollars worth versus millions. That's the only difference.
All
It's
right,
crony.
so yeah, so I like that. I agree with it, but I'm a libertarian too, so I kind of
Yeah. It's just
Um,
crony. It's crony capitalism. And that's why people say capitalism doesn't work. Joshua would say capitalism doesn't work. And I'll tell you why it's not working, because government is meddling in the free market and they're bailing out companies. They're picking winners and losers. They're not letting certain companies fail when they should fail. And they're not letting companies succeed when they should succeed, which causes it to be crony.
Okay, Josh, don't answer that. That's a whole other conversation. we know you have you can tear them apart, but just
It's
hold on to
messy.
that.
It's messy. We don't live in a freaking rainbow
Okay.
world of unicorns and butterflies. The free market's messy, and I like it that way.
Okay, but to answer this particular question is we at the very least can all agree, socialists and libertarians and everybody in between, the U.S., other than, again, James, who represents the majority of Americans, or at least the government, we don't think that the government should be profiting out of making bombs and selling them to other countries. Last topic, because we could go on to each one of these topics forever, but this last topic, I do want to touch on the NDAA, the National Defense Appropriation Act, which is what allocates money for the budget for the military, the defense or war industry for 2027, which is proposed to be around 1.1 trillion. So it's even more than last year. And mind you, last year we were at war. In 2026, we're at war already half the year. So they're obviously planning for us to be, or budgeting for us to be spending at least as much money on bombs next year as we are this year. So my question on the NDAA is a couple of things. Well, first of all, what would you do with the NDAA? What amount of budget do you think the defense industry deserves, if any? And what would you do with the money you save from that? But and let's just really quickly get through that, address the NDAA, the 1.1 trillion budget of the NDAA, and how you would modify it, and if you reduce the money, where would it go? I'll start with you, James, because you get to go first, because you've got the one, everybody's attacking you.
Yeah,
It seems.
I mean, I wouldn't really comment about.
I'm not attacking him.
Oh yeah, no. Travis is slightly agreeing with me and slightly disagreeing with me at the same time. It's a fantastic juxtaposition, and I love it for it. So, but as far as the cost goes, I mean, I really don't have any thoughts on the cost. It's more of, just the implications of the NDAA and just the original question that was going to come out of it of, what's been done with it, and what should our secrets go out to the other countries?
That was James, that's the second part. I want to do that separately. It's section 224 which integrates Israeli and the U.S. military and surveillance. We'll address that second. Let's address the budget.
Budget. I mean, I really don't have a thought on the budget. I don't. I'm gonna say that I am not as well versed on it, on the entire topic, so I'm not going to say anything intelligible for the topic. So I'll give a pass on that one.
Okay.
I'll jump in and say,
Anyone
James,
else?
I love your I'll jump in and say, James, I love your t-shirts. And I think good places to pivot some of a fraction of the military budget is into domestic issues, which starts with healthcare. And I know that gets really caught up with, insurances and that whole system, but somehow to adapt a system that's, less insurance or less just for the rich and more for the people. I think you could take a fraction of the military budget and bring that into that healthcare, and then affordable housing, just make some infrastructure for those who are homeless and address that. And that would spur on lots of economic growth through construction here in home. Education needs a big lift up. I think they've been making us dumber on purpose. It seems that way anyway, by, taking funds from our education system or getting rid of the department in itself, and then free public higher education to encourage a better workforce. So I think that you could really achieve that with just a fraction of the $1 trillion military budget.
All right, I guess I'll jump in. First of all, I think you really have to define the role of the military, right? Constitutionally speaking, we should have a military to defend and protect our borders. If we don't have a military and every other country has a military, you're a sitting duck, right? Because people are evil, right? People are greedy. They want money, right? So defending and protecting your assets. It's why you lock your car, right? It's why you have a bank account that has encrypted passcode, right? You protect your assets. You're stupid if you don't, right? The role of the military is to protect your homeland. But I think that's as far as it should go. So if we were actually to stop meddling in all these other countries and trying to make every other country a democracy, because democracy sucks, it doesn't work. You bring them home, you actually can save a ton of money on infrastructure and building up your own land. And I do, I'm not even going to get into the education thing, but we can use that money appropriately to fix our infrastructure and bridges that are falling apart and rocks falling apart in New York. And we're spending so much of our tax funds overseas where I don't believe we should be doing that. So whether it's 1.1 trillion or half a trillion doesn't really matter. I think the point is we need to be responsible with it and defend and protect our borders and our assets, which are at home, and not neglect our own home and actually spend the money on clean water and the environment and building up our parks and recreations, making us more beautiful and more green. I have no, if there's one place I want tax money to go, it's parks and recreation, man. Building out beautiful areas that are protected and property protected and the game and wildlife protected. I think that's one thing that's beautiful. And, and not, rather than killing people, we protect our homeland. So yes, of course you need a military in 2026. You need a strong military. You do. But it's not the United States of the world. It's the United States of America. And I love this country and I want to protect this country. But unfortunately, some other politicians want to protect the entire world. Just like Israel has a right to exist, Iran has a right to exist, Saudi Arabia has a right to exist. That's their job.
Does
to protect
Palestine
their
have a
border.
right to exist?
Huh? Who?
Yeah.
Who?
I was just asking, you're rattling off all countries' rights to exist.
Right to
And I was just
exist.
wondering,
They also have a right to be taken over. And it's not America's problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's not.
no, I'm with you. The U.S. should have a universal principle, is we're not going to get involved, and that applies to everyone, unless I'm with Brian on this one, unless somebody's getting massacred and they can't defend themselves. That's probably where I would agree with Brian.
Yeah, and if you look at what happened in Israel when Iran went in there and killed all those babies and burned them at stake and stuff like that, that pissed me off.
That never happened.
That never happened.
That never happened?
No,
That never
that
happened.
never happened.
No.
Really?
And you're talking about Palestine in October 7th?
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
talking
yeah,
October
yeah,
7th.
Palestine.
They never burned any babies. There's 2 babies that were killed, in the whole thing, and they were both killed in a crossfire. Neither of them was, quote, beheaded, and nobody was burned in an
Okay.
oven. All of that was made
Hey,
up.
I'll take your word for it, man. But, you know,
Rocket.
yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Anyway, Josh, do you want to throw in 2 cents on the funding for the bill?
I do. I think almost all of that money should be redirected to making the world a better place for working people, and or people that are unable to work because of disability, etc. As somebody who actually talked to an Army recruiter like 30 some years ago, but there wasn't a war on and I had policy in the arm, so they weren't really interested. And from a military family, I hear a lot of justifications about militarism in general, or I did growing up. Most of the people that were involved in that have passed on, unfortunately, because I love my family. But what we need to do is use, I would limit, I mean, the Pentagon has never passed an audit. So, I mean, I'm sure they'll be fine. Like, if they can't keep track of the billions of dollars that we give them, I'm sure they can squirrel it out. But the one thing that I would, as far as military spending, and something that we don't do enough in this country, is taking care of the people that serve overseas, right? You've got people you're sending into a war zone in foreign lands for reasons that I feel are not nefarious, but when it comes down to, that's what they were ordered to do, and they followed the orders. If they, I think it's a constitutional and a moral duty to not follow illegal orders, but the thing this country does is it pumps up the military, and over all the football games we put all this propaganda, but when people come back we cut them off. I mean, we don't do enough for our vets that come back, and we lost more troops in Desert Storm or into the Iraq War due to suicide once they got back than we actually lost there. I mean, which is a tragedy. I mean, if we're going to expect these kids to go overseas and do things that are morally ambiguous generally, that's going to have a cost. It's going to have a psychological cost. It's going to have a physical cost. And when they come back, the least that we should do is not just say how awesome they are. We should actually make sure that they have a place to live, and they have, you know, the mental and medical services that they need. But that's all I would leave in there. Like, I don't care about the Pentagon. They've gotten so much money for over the years, they shouldn't ask for another penny. I do believe we should pull all the troops home. We could use until we muster people out, we can use them to rebuild the infrastructure, build housing, and stuff like that. But, you know, we're an imperial power. I mean, we don't look like a traditional empire, but it's an economic empire. I mean, hence we, you know, build up dictators overseas and call it freedom. I mean, it's why we sponsor death squads in Brazil. It's why we don't do a lot of stuff. We were really scared by the communists, and we just can't get over it. You know, people talk a lot about Cuba, but Cuba's been under a blockade by the most powerful country in the world for 70 years. If they'd have wanted a revolution, they would have had it, and it would have been well funded. So that's us interfering over there, and I'm scared we're going to do it again. But I don't think we should give any money to the military, with the exception of the money that would be used to directly aid people that have served. And then that wouldn't be a big majority. At $1.1 trillion, it wouldn't need near that much. But I mean, that's where I'm from. I've got relatives that served overseas, and some of them did well with it, and some of them had problems when they came back. It's heavy work. I'm not going to say that it isn't. I'm not going to downplay what people go through when they're overseas, especially as me personally have not done that. So, but
Yeah, I
when
mean,
it
just
comes down to
along
it, I
those,
wouldn't cut anything down.
yeah, along
Go
those lines is I mean, I'm probably older than the rest of you guys, but in the Vietnam War, it as bad as the trauma that all the troops had to go through, it wasn't their decision to go to Vietnam. They were ordered to go there, but when they came back, I mean, morality aside, is they were treated really badly. On top of all the trauma they went through, when they country, they were booed. So the opposite of being treated, okay, we didn't agree with the policy, but you were just a cog in the wheel. You were just a pawn in the whole chess game. You weren't the one making the orders. But that's the perception a lot of times. And when you disagree with the war, sometimes we take it out on the people that, in their view, they're just trying to defend the country. Last point, I really like what you're saying there, Josh. So I appreciate it. I could almost want to end on it, but I just did want to just do a little caveat to the NDAA because it really pissed me off. And I'll let you guys talk about it, which is Section 225 of the NDAA, which is just so insane to me. Somebody's got to address it, because I won't, because I'll just get too pissed off. But I'll frame it and you guys can run with it. Section 225 and the NDAA says that, and mind you, the NDAA is such a powerful bill because nobody has the guts to vote against it. It's who's going to vote against the defense. So everybody throws in a bunch of stuff into the NDAA, knowing that people are going to vote for it, like it or not. And the only option you have to remove something is to do what Ro Khanna did, which is he proposed an amendment to the NDAA, striking Section 225, which was shot down, of course. So we're stuck with it. But Section 225 basically says that there needs to be a much closer integration of U.S. and Israeli military, surveillance, and technology with somebody in charge of overseeing to make sure that actually happens. The backdrop of this is it's bad enough that we've put into law that we have to share secrets with a quote ally, but this is what's pissing me off, is the fact that, have we forgotten Jonathan Pollard who worked for Israel, stole U.S. secrets and sold it to the Soviet Union. So how do we go from being treated as a victim by these spies, these Israeli spies? He was in prison until he got pardoned for some unknown reason, or he got released. So Israelis are known to spy against us, steal our secrets, and sell it to the Soviet Union. Somebody out of the panel, anybody, explain to me how it makes sense that we go from having our secrets stolen from a country to putting into law that we need to share our secrets with that country, and merging our defense industry with their defense industry and our surveillance with their surveillance. Anybody want to go for that?
Yeah, sure. I'll go
not
for it.
224 and not 225.
I said 225 and 224. It is 224.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, I think it's a terrible idea. I mean, you might currently trust the, Netanyahu or whatever, right? Let's say Trump and Netanyahu are buddies, right? When Netanyahu's not always going to be in power, right? So you can't trust another country's government to keep secrets, right? So we shouldn't be sharing top secret information with any other country or any other world leader. That should never, ever happen. That should be actually a given. It makes absolutely no sense to share that information with anyone, because that's the first thing they're going to do is leak it.
I agree with you on that. Yeah.
You can't trust anybody, man.
That's just a sound, rational opinion of Travis. I agree with you, Travis. And then to go forward with how we've seen Israel and their lobbyist influence and how they brought us into this war. And I personally think that, you know, Iraq, Afghanistan, and now Iran have all been wars we've been brought into for Israel, because none of those countries pose an imminent threat to America. And with hindsight, we can see that we've just weakened the region so that Israel can proliferate and be more of the dominant power. So knowing that that's already happened and Israel is now trying to invade our military intelligence, I think they've already done that. And back when the Doge thing happened, and now they're just trying to do some political cover by adding it into this NDAA. This is very alarming, and I don't know about you guys, but Israel is showing to be very invasive and has affected us so much, and has, I think, taken extreme measures to keep the narrative positive towards them. I think they were involved with Charlie Kirk. So I think there's no limits to what Israel will do to use us for their benefit. And I think Americans have to become aware of this. I don't know how you guys think about Israel, but Israel is enemy number one to me.
I don't think necessarily one or the other is enemy number one to me. I don't think Americans should be revealing top secret military and information with any other country. I don't care who it is, ever, no matter who it is. I think that's a violation of privacy, and it brings down trust from the Pentagon and from the top military leaders. It's not something we should be doing, ever.
Yeah, real quick question. Brian, I know you're former. Yeah, Josh, I'll get to you. Brian, you're former Marine, right?
Correct. 4 years in the Marines.
Yeah, and James, you're also served in the military?
Army for 20 years.
So as being a member of the Army, how did you feel or did you know that Jonathan Pollard got released? And how did you feel about it, if you did know?
I mean, it really wasn't on my radar Brian can probably attest to this too, because we probably received the same training at one point in our careers when they overlapped. We've known that Mossad agents exist. We know that they've targeted American diplomats, military personnel, and even civilians before. But I mean, I really didn't give a hoot when Pollard was released. I mean, I knew what he had done or what he was alleged of doing and how he did it. I knew the intricacies of it from what the Army had said, but I didn't really care that he was released.
So what do you think about 224 then?
I mean, 224 with this, I would say, I mean, allies are allies, friends are friends, and America's interests come first. As with supply, I mean, in God we trust, but all others must sign. I mean, even our allies, I mean, we don't have to trust them on everything, and I don't think that we should trust all of our allies on everything. However, there is information that needs to be shared, and when that information isn't shared, calamity can happen. There's just all these variables that come into place, all these, anything could happen. But as far as this, I mean, intelligence sharing should be limited to, what advances a specific security objective. And that should never be unlimited. But it does also, with Pollard, it does demonstrate that an ally or even a close friend will always act in their own interest when it benefits them.
Exactly. It's like I like every
and
one of you
224
on this
goes.
call, but I'm not going to share my bank account passwords with you. I mean, I like all of you. I trust all of you. I do. But I'm not going to give you that information. I'm going to be the one in control of the situation and be the adult in the room. I'm not giving you that information. I don't care what country you're from. I don't care how close we are. I'm not giving you my passwords. Why would you do that?
Well, not only that, Travis, but it's a requirement. It's like this now structurally, they're going to have offices. The Mossad is going to have offices in the Pentagon. like
Of
actual
course they are.
offices. Yeah. All right, Josh. You've been very patient, but I like when you're last because you're always the wise. You
The wise
purvey
guy.
wisdom to the rest of the group. So give us your wisdom on 224.
Not the radical leftist. Well, before I talk,
Not in this group. It's hard to be radical in this group.
I think we're all pretty cool, man.
First, before I want to say anything, I mean, I've been staunchly against the genocide since I became aware of it, which was probably the second Intifada. But I've been called anti-Semite a lot, and I strongly believe in the safety of Jewish people because the two people I love most in the world are Jewish, my wife and son. I'm going to throw that out there first, and I think the fact that you have a far-right, genocidal, fascist government in Israel makes the world less safe for Jewish people in the diaspora. 100%.
Especially when they say they're speaking on behalf of Jews.
Right. But so I want to throw that out there first, but I don't think the U.S. should have anything to do with Israel. Do we want to be friends with people that are capable of the moral debauchery that is going on over there that is supported by a majority of the population? Of course, there's some leftists there, but they don't have any power, right? Like, why are we going to pump up white supremacists? I don't know. We shouldn't. We don't have any. It taints us. It taints us. Anything that is done by people using our weapons and our intelligence that is immoral paints us with the same brush. I think if you look at the history of the United States from the founding till now, you'll find very little instances of the people that became the United States of United States of American government have ever been on the good side of history. I mean, on North Carolina, at the State House, we have a statue of Andrew Jackson. We have a statue of James K. Polk and Andrew Johnson. Andrew Jackson was responsible for a genocide of indigenous people, large scale. James K. Polk was responsible for the Mexican War, and Andrew Johnson was the one that ended Reconstruction. So we still, like, when we brought down the statue several years ago, we left some of them up that should have come down. In my opinion, we don't want to celebrate the bad stuff, right? We should acknowledge it, and Lord knows we should teach it only so we don't do it again. So I don't think there is an argument to say that we need to integrate our military with Israel. Like, I mean, it's kind of like back during the business plot when Standard Oil and a lot of the executives of the country wanted to try to talk Smedley Butler into leading a coup against Roosevelt and instituting a fascist state in the United States. But at the same time, the United States let its companies do business in Nazi Germany, and that tainted us. And us supporting Israel right now is like all the American companies that supported the Nazis. I mean, there's irony in irony, but that's what it comes down to. Like, so we should protect life and we should protect human beings, and that's the only freedom we have. Is if people talk about liberty, but at the same time they're perfectly fine killing brown people overseas, that's not really liberty. The only freedom that we are exporting is the freedom to exploit people under us, and that is not freedom. That's only freedom for the ultra wealthy. When it comes down to it, what we need to do is we need to do what we can to make the world a better place, so the people, all the people, have their needs met. I mean, it's the best thing that could happen. I mean, you could, if you look at the Abrahamic religions, which have some flaws, but when it comes down to it, that's, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Before you talk about the splinter in my eye, you got to pull that beam out of yours. Like, as somebody who is an agnostic, I hate to have to bring this up time and time again, but when it comes down to it, it should not be our business in ordering to let our bourgeoisie and their allies across this overseas exploit the common people over there. I mean, there would be no hunger if we organized it right, but there's always a profit in scarcity. So you bring scarcity in order to make a profit. I mean, the dictatorship of the bourgeoisie is how we're running. Like, nobody on this call, when we vote, it really matters, especially if all we do is vote. If we don't join organizations that are aligned with our interests and continue to fight, you know, for freedom and equality across the spectrum, what happens to me? My freedom ends at me, right? I shouldn't have any business telling anybody else how they should live. But at the same time, they should not be using money that is generated by my labor to kill other people overseas. It just shouldn't happen, especially at the expense of lots of children's lives and lots of lives overseas. That's not what we're about. Like, if you look at the history of the United States, read it. Don't just read the glorification of it. Read what really happened. Look at slavery, at chattel slavery. Look at the genocide against the indigenous people. Like, I don't understand patriotism. I mean, I get it. I know people are into it. I don't know how people sleep at night. And that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Usually on my left side.
It's like this, man. I like what you said. I just have something real quick to say. It reminds me of two things. One, don't hurt people. Two, don't take their stuff. If we kept it that simple, there would be no war. Don't throw the first punch. Don't take something that doesn't belong to you, including someone's money that they earned. You boil it down to that, you get rid of war. You get rid of nation building. You get rid of stealing. You get rid of greed, I guess. But unfortunately, not everybody believes in the non-aggression principle. And the people who don't, I don't trust them. Period. If you violate the NAP, the non-aggression principle, you violated everything that I believe in. You threw the first punch, you stole from someone else, and you took something that wasn't yours, and you're the aggressor. Period. I don't trust you. You take something of mine without asking, you stole. And somehow, people are okay with the government stealing from us. I'm not.
That must,
So yeah,
that must be weird, considering that we are all living on stolen land right now.
We
Like-
nation builded. I don't support it.
Conquest.
Yeah, well,
We
I
nation
mean,
builded.
conquest is like the theft with weapons. When it comes down to it, I mean, we were.
That's the entire world.
Most of my ancestors.
Every single country has dominated and developed their land.
Are we entering into an era where we could try to stop that pattern and turn into more of a utopian way? Can we turn that direction?
Well,
I
I mean,
think
this-
so. Dialogues like this, talking together.
I hope
We've got
so.
capitalists, we've got socialists, we've got left leaning, we've got right leaning.
hey, we got a Palestinian and a Jew on the same call. And
Exactly.
they're actually on the same side.
Exactly. We treat people as we want to be treated, regardless of your religious or your ideologies. If it's really that simple, don't hurt people and don't take their stuff, and don't throw the first punch. But you have a right.
The majority of people are on our side. I mean, this war in Iran was so unpopular. It was over
That we
60%.
surrendered.
Yeah, but somehow the government doesn't really care what we think. There's no democracy because, as we saw in the Massey race, it's our vote doesn't count. And Josh, you alluded to that too about our votes not counting. But Massey proved it. It was like for like 5-6 election cycles in a row, Massey was getting 80%, and all of a sudden AIPAC throws in, $20 million. And he loses. So they bought the election. So the only way we're going to get out of this is if somehow the people regain their vote, which they're being played. They're being played by the Republicans who say, hey, we suck, but they suck worse. So you're stuck voting for us. You got to vote Republicans. You don't want those damn liberals to win. And the Democrats say the same about, Trump, man, you can't have Trump. So we suck really bad, but you don't want Trump. As long as people fall for that narrative, they'll never have a say in the government because they're being played.
They're both of the major political parties are just different wings of the same party ideologically. There's not a lot of difference between them. When it comes down to capitalism is anti-freedom, and it's certainly anti-environment. So like Democrats are just aren't any less warmongery than the Republicans are. I mean, look at Libya, look at Haiti, look at the fact we maintain the blockade of.
Yeah, you said it was capitalism was the source of the problem, because I would claim that greed is the problem, and hopefully we can do this some other day. We should have a conversation about that. If about socialism versus capitalism, because if you are assuming that greed is built into our nature, and Travis, you mentioned that too, that we're all greedy. Sure, capitalism will fail, but so will socialism, because somebody's going to be controlling the wealth and they're going to be greedy. And whoever it is going to be greedy. The only way that it could work is if somehow we change. So if there's greed, there's going to be failure, no matter what system we have. And the only way out of this is to not have greed. I don't think that whether it's socialist or capitalist is the problem.
Right. Exactly. I think Spider-Man said it best. With great power comes great responsibility. And I don't care if you have a government or no government, there's always going to be a group of people that rise to the top. Everybody wants somebody to follow. They feel lost if they don't follow someone. You're always going to have a fake leader head, somebody in power. They can be good or bad, and they can use that power for good or bad. I don't care. Throughout history, you have tribes and all this kind of stuff. So are we going to allow people that aren't responsible to lead us, or are we going to be self-governed individuals and lead ourselves and not have to have somebody to follow like a little puppet, like a little person with no thoughts and no opinions of themselves and no ideas for themselves? They're so lost that they really need someone to follow. That's the problem. With great
Travis,
power
we're gonna have to leave that as the I guess a teaser for the next talk, because we're talking about war and peace, not capitalism and socialism in this talk.
That's the problem. Power. It's power.
Well, we'll do that another time. Right now, I thought we ended really well, presenting our views about why this war sucks and why we should be diverting all this money being spent on war to our own problems at home. I think it's, and I don't think we're being on a limb on this. I think we're just saying the obvious, that the vast majority of Americans believe it. Unfortunately, the 535 members of our government, our Congress, don't believe that. And they're the ones calling the shots. So that's what we all have to change, is we got to make sure that our government represents the people, because the people right now have no desire to go to war. And even if we did, even if, like James was saying, even if we did want to have this empire where we have interests abroad that we protect, we can't afford it anyway. We're already $38 trillion in debt. We can't afford to be an empire, even if we wanted to be.
You lose your power when you lose your money.
Yeah, Josh, last word, then we got to close it out. Go ahead.
Sorry. I want something I hope we can all agree on. I think if we want to have a government that's truly representative, we have public funding of elections, no private money into elections. Every election
Boom.
day, all the candidates put their beliefs on paper, give it to the government disseminates it equally, and then it becomes a contest of ideas and not a contest of which person has the
Boom.
most money.
Rank
Well,
choice
Massey wouldn't have
voting.
lost. I'll tell you that much if that's the way it was.
Yeah.
Doesn't
So
matter your
I
party.
Okay, so
Rank
Thanks,
choice
comrade,
voting
my
is the way
friends.
to go. You
Yeah, I think
rank
we-
your candidates in order of preference
Yeah.
on their ideas,
Okay, I
not
think
their
we need-
party.
Thank you for inviting me to this panel.
yeah, I enjoyed it all. You guys, thank you all for showing up and giving us your ideas. James, I hope I didn't interrupt you too much.
You're good.
All right.
I did.
Yeah, you did. You jerk.
Well, that's okay. These are panelists. Panelists can fight with each other. The moderator is supposed to pretend to be neutral. So I can't be interrupting people. But anyway, thanks everyone. I thought it was an awesome show. I really appreciate it. And we'll wrap it up right there.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all.
See ya.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you.
You too.
I'm going to stay on until you kill the streams. Hey, James.
All right. Hey, Josh. I hope the panel went well, but yeah. And
Was that-
Rob, I think me and you need to start talking about House Bill 958 with Josh, because I have to tell all third parties about it, because I actually learned this about from the Constitution Party on Monday, and the third party is already aware about it, and apparently the Libertarians seem to as well.
Yeah, we
so
put out
I
a
need to
press
start-
release yesterday.
Yeah, this is House Bill 958 is freaking terrible. Josh, have you heard about this bill?
I've read that it exists. I haven't had a chance to dive into it because of work, but you know.
Yeah, you're going to need to look at it, because there are a few sections of this bill that are very, very anti-third party, and it will affect all third parties, including the Socialist Party of North Carolina. So let me see if I
When we
can
get
send you the
ballot
link.
access.
Yeah, but even then, this is some of this does pertain to collecting signatures, and it's really horrible. And
Yeah.
let me see if I can send you the some of the information. Let me send you let me see if I can put it in the chat.
Or can you just email it to me, Conrad?
Yeah, I can email it to you.
And did you not talk to anybody from the Greens?
We actually tried, but yeah, Anna withdrew, and Kalia is going to be at the next one for the part 2. So Kalia will be there
Okay,
for the
I
next
was
one.
about to say reach out to Wayne.
Wade Turner,
Yeah,
I'll give him a text. That's a good idea. I didn't even think about that. I don't know why.
yeah, no, I mean, and hopefully I can get Tony on with me next time, and hopefully we can not be a bunch of cishet white men sitting around arguing about how our privilege isn't enough. But anyway, no, it was good. I appreciate y'all inviting me. I know that libertarians and socialists agree on some things, probably not for the same reasons, but you know, I'm always, when I do in my city council campaigns, I send out the thing and I think I'm good on like just not enough to get any kind of endorsement, but I generally I generally try to get along with people. Like James Bledsoe wouldn't shake my hand because I think he thinks that socialism is communicable, which would be awesome, but it's not. But I did beat him in the primary though, so there's that. Something about not being a jerk tends to get more people interested in voting for you, apparently. But anyway, my friends, thank you very much, and James, send me that email, and yeah, let me know if you want me back. Probably not going to be touting right libertarianism, but I'll definitely be there as a foil, if nothing else.
All right.
Yeah, no problem,
Better
man.
too. Take it easy. Have a good night.
Okay. Thanks, my friends.
Later.
All right, I'm gonna head out. Good night.